Hey everyone, happy Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Off the Rails Sports with your host, Bert Beiswanger, live from the Off the Rails studios. To be sponsored at some point with someone. Still running this thing from just my personal channels, kicking some ideas around, but starting to tighten some ideas up. And I'm going to push it forward on specific Off the Rails Sports channels and kick up promotion and all that kind of stuff. But we're still kicking around ideas, just turning on the camera, having some fun, and talking to you guys, and looking forward to this weekend. Keeneland, second weekend of racing. They're running today, tomorrow, Sunday. It's gorgeous down there. I should have gone down this week. Going down next week on Wednesday, trying to figure out how we're going to map out our journey through the bluegrass and bourbon country. But I'm telling you, take a 3-day weekend in the fall and go to Lexington. You will not regret it. The rolling hills of the bluegrass country, all of the horse farms. You can do a gazillion different tours. Kentucky Horse Park, Old Friends Farm, where they have retired thoroughbreds, and a slew of distilleries. And it's just gorgeous. And downtown Lexington itself. I mean, go down there and catch yourself a Wildcats game on a home game weekend. But I am looking forward to it. And quite frankly, the season feels a little thin now if I don't go down there twice. So I didn't go last week, didn't make it down this week. Kind of regretting that one because the weather's been spectacular. The scene, even watching on TV, is just the sky's as blue, and the trees are starting to turn. So awesome. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to watching some horse racing this weekend. By the way, I can't remember what race it is, but open up your Twin Spires app or your DK Horse app or your FanDuel Racing app, and if you don't have one, you can download one and get ready for the Breeders' Cup in November. But Grand Sonata is running tomorrow. Can't remember what race at Keeneland. Look up Grand Sonata. I think that would be a pretty good bet. Not sure what odds you're going to get on him, but hey, it is what it is. It's a little off the rails of a pick here. We talk stick and ball stuff a lot of times, but I'm working in horse racing. I'm going to start working in more horse racing picks, especially as we get to the Super Bowl weekend of horse racing, the Breeders' Cup. All right, coming up on another Saturday of college football, and we have some good ones, don't we? Looking at you, IU fans. I know you're looking forward to this one. 3:30 kickoff. By the way, the state of Indiana well represented in the 3:30 time slot, which is the best time slot of the week, period. End of story. 3 o'clock on a Saturday, whether it's sports or whatever you like to do. That's a sweet spot. That's a sweet spot of the week. It cannot be argued. It cannot be argued. You still got another day coming up for Sundays, et cetera, et cetera. And hey, especially during football season, we've got three 3:30 games locally, featuring local teams. Notre Dame is at NC State, and what are they getting right now? Looks like 23.5. It's a lot, but Notre Dame's really good. And let's not forget, even though they have two losses by a combined 4 points. One of those was by 3 points at Miami. Notre Dame could have won that game. They obviously did not win that game, but they look good. Notre Dame's tough. Defense is low, but the offense is really good. Jeremiah Love, one of my favorite players. If you did not see his story on College Game Day, I think it was 2 weeks ago. What a awesome individual. Great parents. Jeremiah, just a truly unique, special talent person. I love, no pun intended, Jeremiah Love. Love watching him play. But I don't know if I'm going to take Notre Dame or bet this, but let me put it this way. If I bet it, I'm probably going to include it in a teaser and try to buy some more points. But I think they'll cover the 23.5. I just think I might try to tease that and get that under a number like 17 or something like that. Maybe 21 might be safe enough. Also, 3:30. I told you they put They put some really good games on in this time slot, and we've got the game that everyone is looking forward to nationally and locally, and that is IU at Oregon. They're getting 7.5 points. Actually, it's just dropped to 7. So I like Oregon at plus or at -7. That's no disrespect to Indiana. Oregon is at home. In college football, you got to have to understand. Unlike the pros, 7 points to me, a 7-point spread in college is almost the equivalent of a 3-point spread in the NFL, and so it's a pretty tight spread. I think that's given a lot of love to IU. I'm not saying they don't have a chance to win this game or even cover. I'm just saying if I bet this, I'm probably gonna include Oregon and maybe put them in a teaser with Notre Dame and buy that down to an almost pick 'em or an even line. Looks like a lot of rain forecasted there. High of 59, I think I heard the great Terry Stacy say on the radio. So we don't know what the conditions are going to look like right now, but just taking that aside, taking that out of the equation, I like Oregon, and that's no disrespect. They may be the best team in the country. We don't know, but they're definitely one of the top 3. Ohio State, Miami, Oregon right now. Penn State. Never understood that. I never understood that. That's one of those overinflated Big Ten schools. Penn State. They hadn't covered at all, and they just go to UCLA and gets waxed by a really bad team. Who knows? Maybe UCLA's found something, but man, that's a bad loss. I mean, you go from the top of the rankings and the top tier of the rankings, number 3, all the way to out of the rankings in one loss. That's insane. That shows you how much people do not respect, obviously, this loss. And it was butt kicking against a bad team. So Penn State's out of there. That elevates IU. IU's ranked 7th right now. But looking forward to that game. But I think Oregon covers that. I told you to put great games in the 3:30 time slot, and they're going to put another one. Ball State Cardinals. Your first place Mid-American Conference Ball State Cardinals. They have looked awful most of the year, but they've covered the last 2 weeks. They looked awful last week. Defense held Ohio U, but Ball State just, I mean, it was a bad display of offense. And that game overall was kind of not fun to watch. But Ohio U got out to a 14-point lead, and Ball State came back on and beat the Bobcats, who beat West Virginia. So, hey, I'll take the win. I'm not sure Ball State's turned a corner, but they're getting a little bit better. And for as bad as they were, every little increment of improvement is a big step forward or a step forward. They are getting 8.5 at Western Michigan, and I'm just going to take Ball State because they've covered the last 2 weeks. And chirp, chirp, we fly. And we also cover. So we're going to do that. We're going to take the Cardinals again. And then another game, the final game that's kind of on my radar, or of interest, if you will, are the Florida Gators at Texas A&M. And I'm telling you, there's only been one game. But Florida last week, after beating Texas, I know Texas has had troubles, but so has Florida offensively. DJ Lagway, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what was going on. I don't know why he's out of sorts. I think a lot of it has to do with off-season injury and not being able to practice. Because this team, across the board, running back, wide receivers, defense, they have everything to be a top 10 team. And they came out of the gate struggling. That's how Florida lost still stings. And, frankly, at LSU losing 20-10 with 5 interceptions, and the defense only gave up 10 points. It's just, God, that game was so winnable. But they looked good, much better, I should say, offensively last week. Beat a struggling Texas team. That's what they should do at home. But now they go to A&M. And this is a tall task. A&M won at Notre Dame. Florida's getting 7.5 points. And I'm going to go on the assumption that Florida, based on last week, is going to continue playing like we all thought they would play this season. They were a preseason top 10 team, and rightfully so. The talent is there. I like getting a touchdown and a half because you're only getting that because of Florida's slow start. But I think if Florida plays the way I think they can, then they'll cover that 7.5. Looking forward to that game though. I think that's going to be a really good game. Florida's not ranked, but you have to think of them as a ranked team talent-wise. It was the start that they got off of, especially the USF game. So anyway, moving on, we are enjoying the MLB playoffs. Love it. I don't love the umpiring. The ball strike calls are just all over the board. It's getting really frustrating. It cost the Mariners game 1, and now here they are tonight, game 5 at home, 8 o'clock against Tarek Skubal and the Tigers. So the Mariners couldn't close it out in game 4. They should have. They were up 3-0, had all the momentum. Pull their pitcher way too early. These managers, my God. Guy's cruising and gives up a hit or 2 hits. Get him out of there, 5th inning. Unbelievable. And, of course, they got rocked and lost 8-3. So now you got to go home and face Tarek Skubal. And the conventional wisdom is, even though Seattle, I love Seattle, and even though they are one of the top 2 teams in the American League, they may be playing with dynamite here, not closing that game 4 out, and going home and now facing the great Tarek Skubal. That's the wisdom out there. That's the conventional wisdom. The off the rails and unconventional wisdom is they've already beaten Tarek Skubal 3 times. That's unconventional, but it's also wisdom. It's not that off the rails. They beat Tarek Skubal 3 times this year, including this series. So I'm going to go with the Mariners. I think that place is going to be rocking at 8 o'clock or 8:30, and I'm looking forward to that. Tomorrow we've got the decisive game 5 for the Cubs at the Brewers. Oh my gosh, that would again great rivalry game. That place is going to be rocking. They're going to be a little tense though, because Milwaukee fans know the history of the Brewers in the postseason, and it's just one disappointment after another. This season is supposed to be different, especially after you start the first 2 games where you just clobber the Cubs. Game 3, great game. Cubs win it 4-3. The Brewers had bases loaded with, I think, 1 out in the 8th inning. Solid chance to tie the game there and take the lead. Well, tie or take the lead. But they couldn't get it done. Strikeout, inning over, and the Cubs close it out. Last night, the Cubs get out of the gate strong, go up 6-0, and that's a wrap. These games have been really interesting. The scoring, the Cubs have been doing a ton of scoring early. Scored 4 runs in game 3. They scored 3 runs in game 2. And then the Brewers came right back and scored 3 runs in the first inning. And then the Cubs scored 4 in the first in game 3 and held on to win 4-3. They come out of the gate last night blazing, get a 6-0 lead, and that was it. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm telling you, Saturday is going to be awesome. Decisive playoff game and MLB and all the college football. NFL, I'm not going to talk too much about that around the horn anyway, other than the fact that the Indianapolis Colts, Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts are at home. -7 against the Arizona Cardinals. Man, that feels juicy. I love it. I think the Colts are going to clobber them. I'm done with Arizona. I've had enough bad beats this year with just you name it. It's happened to me. And the Cardinals last week cost me a great parlay. Dropping the ball before they go in the end zone, it would have put them up 26-7 or whatever, 26-6, close the game out. It would have been end of story, end of game. And and that was just snowball from there. It's just a comedy of errors. Interception, then tackle fumble, scoop it up, land on it in the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, Tennessee was doing nothing. And then all of a sudden, just the worst beat you're ever going to have, the Cardinals. So I think it's going to take more than a week to recover from that. I know I still haven't recovered from it, and I'm not even playing the game. So I think the Colts clobber Arizona in this game. By the way, Indianapolis Colts, are we going to open the roof tomorrow? Last week, yeah, it was like 82, but it's a fall 82. It doesn't stay that hot that long, and the roof was closed. If this roof's broken again, last year that roof should have been open 7 out of 8 games or 6 out of 8 games. It was that nice on home dates, and it was open one time. And last week it was closed again. Why did we build this roof? Open the freaking roof, okay? And or let's replace the panels with some clear panels, because these stadiums that have these clear roofs now look fantastic. So I say we at least do that. But my gosh, 73 degrees and sunny Sunday. Get that roof open. All right. Hey, that's it for Off the Rails Sports Friday. But you guys have a great weekend. And whatever you're doing, get a leg up. Have a good one, everyone.